Hello dear students, in this video I am going to explain the poem To Autumn composed by Keats, and this poem is included in the syllabus of BA Part 2 of English Literature. And in this video we are going to discuss the summary of this poem To Autumn. To Autumn describes in its three stanzas three different aspects of the season. First is its fruitfulness, second is its labor, and third is its ultimate decline. Through the stanzas, there is a progression, means there is a series of progress from early autumn to mid autumn and then to the heralding of winter. Means the last stanza is about the onset beginning of winter. Parallel to this, the poem depicts the day turning from morning to afternoon and into dusk, means evening time. These progressions means these works in the series of progression are joined with the shift from the tactile sense to that of sight and then of sound. So here is in this poem there is very well a good combination of sight and sound, creating a three-part symmetry which is not present in Keats' other odes. That's why this poem is very special. As the poem progresses, autumn is represented metaphorically as one who conspires, who ripens fruit. So, in this poem, Keats very well use figures of speech device is metaphor, and he is using a person to display autumn, who conspire, who ripens fruit, who harvests, who makes music. The first stanza of the poem represent autumn as involved with the promotion of natural process like growth and ultimate maturation, two forces in opposition in nature but together creating the impression that the season will not end. So the first stanza show us early maturation. In this stanza the fruits are still ripening and the buds still opening in the warm weather. Stuart Sperry says that Keats emphasizes the tactile sense here, suggested by the imagery of growth and gentle motion, swelling, bending, and plumping. So, first stanza is all about the maturation. In the second stanza, autumn is personified as a harvester, to be seen by the viewer, to be seen by the reader in various guises, various disguises, performing laboring tasks that is essential to provision of food for the coming year. There is a lack of definitive action, all motion being gentle. Autumn is not depicted as actually harvesting but as seated, resting, or watching. So, in the second stanza, there is a mention of personification. In lines 14 and 15, the personification of autumn is an exhausted laborer. That's why he is resting. Near the end of the stanza, the steadiness of the gleaner. And in the end of the stanza, autumn is personified as gleaner and emphasizing a motionlessness within the poem. The progression through the day is revealed in action that are all suggestive of the drowsiness of afternoon that is discussed in the previous video. The harvested grain is being winnowed. Here is a list of work that is done by autumn: the work of winnowing, the work of harvesting, and the work of cider pressing. So, the harvested grain is being winnowed, the harvester is asleep or returning home, and the last drop issue from the cider press. So that is in the second stanza. And in the last stanza contrasts autumn sound. The last stanza is about the music. The last stanza contrasts autumn sound with those of spring. The sounds that are presented are not only those of autumn, but essentially the gentle sounds of the evening. Gnats wail, and lambs bleat in the dusk. So these are the use of imagery of animals in autumn season. As night approaches, within the final moments of the song, death is slowly approaching alongside the end of the year. The full grown lambs, like the grapes, gourds, and hazelnuts, will be harvested for the winter. The twittering swallow gather for departure, leaving the fields bare. The whistling redbreast and the chirping cricket are the common sounds of winter. The reference to spring, the growing lambs, and the migrating swallows, swallow means a type of bird, remind the reader that the seasons are a cycle. And the last stanza of this poem reminds us about the cycle of seasons, widening the scope of this stanza from a single season to life in general. Of all of Keats' poem to autumn, with its catalogue of concrete images, most closely describe a paradise as realized on earth, while also focusing on archetypal symbols connected with the season. Within the poem, autumn represents growth, maturation, and finally an approaching death. So the three stanza of this poem directly related to the first stanza related to growth, second stanza is about maturation, and third stanza is about approaching death. There is a fulfilling union between the ideal and the real. Scholars have noted a number of literary influence on To Autumn, from the Virgil's Georgics, Edmund Spenser's Mutability cantos, to the language of Thomas Chesterton, to Samuel Taylor Coleridge's Frost at Midnight. So these are the most memorable works from whom John Keats took inspiration and wrote To Autumn. To Autumn is thematically connected to other ode that Keats wrote in 1890. For example, in his Ode to Melancholy, a major theme is the acceptance of the process of life. When this theme appears later in To Autumn, however, it is with a difference. This time, the figure of the poet disappears, and there is no exhortation of an imaginary reader. There are no open conflicts, and dramatic debate, protest, and qualification are absent. In process, there is a harmony between the finality of death and hint of renewal of life in the cycle of the season, paralleled by the renewal of a single day. So here are two recyclings. First is of season and second is of the day. So in this video we have discussed about the summary of this poem, and in the forthcoming videos I will explain the poem's text. So that's all for today, students. Thank you all.